Your party, the NDC, and its candidate, John Dramani Mahama, have been rejected twice by the Ghanaian people. Yet still, with the same candidates, you want to return to office. Why?
Well, thank you very much, and let me extend my greetings to viewers. You see, the only constant in nature is change. And in any political environment, nothing is constant. If there were situations in the past when a particular election was taking place, people vote based on the environment at that time. And the environment keeps changing.
Right.
That is why some candidates can lose election maybe 3 times, 4 times, and eventually become winners.
Why must it be?
You talk about
why must it be the NDC and John Dramani Mahama again?
It is not NDC and John Dramani Mahama. It was first MPP and Nanado. Because have you counted the number of times Nanado lost elections before becoming the president? And the reason is that times change.
Are the circumstances the same?
And the circumstances...
Because Nanado had never been president the 3 times that he had run for elections. John Dramani Mahama had a taste half of 2012 to 2016, and then when he lost the election, right?
And that is why people are calling for him. You can lose election because of some lies being peddled about you, some misunderstanding of your intentions by people around that time. If you are, some years ahead of your generation, whatever you do at a particular point in time, people may not understand it. But with the passage of time, they come to vindicate the positions. That is why Ghanaians are now rooting for the return of President John.
Are they really? If they didn't give you the opportunity in 2016, they didn't give you the opportunity in 2020, are Ghanaians really rooting for the NDC?
Why are the poster boys of MPP no longer talking about economic miracles and so on? At that time, when we were interested in investing in the future of Ghanaians, they were talking about fleeting satisfactions at a particular point in time. And we have followed those fleeting satisfactions, and this is where it has brought us.
Chairman, so Ghanaians it sounds like you're discounting the hardship under the NDC's John Dramani Mahama before he lost the 2016 elections.
I'm not discounting it, but it is not one person who experienced the hardship. The same Ghanaians who experienced what they call the hardship are now experiencing the worst form of hardship. In our case, the hardship could be explained by our choice, deliberate choice, in investing in the future. In this particular case, we are not investing in the future, and we still have hardship because of the greed of people in government. And so, heads we lose, tails we lose. We are not enjoying today, and the future even looks more bleak than what we have. The future of the youth is destroyed. We've mortgaged the future of the younger ones by excessive borrowing. So the next generation are looking at no opportunities, but coming to face even worse hardship than we are facing now.
Let's look
and that is why they want a change to somebody who will lead the country. And even if we have to tighten our belts now, we are building a better future for our younger generation.
I want us to go back into time and look at the era of John Dramani Mahama as president. Ghanaians thought that hardship was not handled properly. They thought that the administration then was incompetent. Why should they have a different mindset now about the NDC?
I believe you could be calling those who thought like that. Those who are talking today, they are the very people who condemned John Dramani Mahama. And over the past 2 years, people are coming out to apologize. People are coming out to say that they were misled into believing in certain things. And that is, a stronger vote for President John Dramani Mahama. Because, you see, we kept saying that you can use the media or whatever techniques to brand somebody as what he is not. But when you put him in the position, his real nature will expose him. And that is precisely what has happened to Nana Addo. And the black painting, deliberate black painting of President John Dramani Mahama too, has been exposed with the passage of time.
Why do you think there was deliberate black painting? Was it not true that the city at that time, between 2012 and 2016, had graduated?
Are you not listening to the same people who were speaking against President John Dramani Mahama now? Have you been hearing them?
No.
They are saying that, look, Nana Akufo-Addo's performance has made President John Dramani Mahama look like a saint. And there are others who have been coming, particularly in diaspora. They said that, look, you came to paint this man as the worst thing that has ever happened to Ghanaians. And
Chairman, what I'm confused about is whether you're admitting that, there were failures under your administration, under the NDC in 2016, up until it lost the election in 2016. However, what we see now is worse off.
No, that is not the point at all. What I'm talking about is that there were hardships. And it is not now that we are admitting that there were hardships. We admitted the hardships at that time. But we said that the hardships are being brought about because of our investment into the future. And that if we tighten our belts now, the next generation will be better off. And that was what, and we never blamed anybody. Listen, we never blamed anybody for what was happening. We took responsibility for what was happening. And now you said, no, everything bad was caused by Mahama. You now change over to your saint. And now he comes and never takes responsibility for anything. Anything that has happened in this country was caused by somebody else.
So taking responsibility is the difference.
You take responsibility, and then you point to the people that, look, what I'm doing now is going to bear these fruits if we follow this trajectory. You cannot run a country like it's being done now without a significant portion of your resources going into investment into the future.
If taking responsibility is the only difference between the
I'm not saying that is it. That is your
word. It's a key difference.
One of the differences, yes.
Between the NPP and the NDC.
Yeah.
Then you would say that the Ghanaian people are stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Why? I have not said that taking responsibility is the only thing. Those are your words.
No.
I am saying that one of the
key difference between the two of you.
It's not the key difference. It's one of the differences between the two. The other one is that we invest in the future because whether it is family, organization, country, or anything, you need to sacrifice today for the benefit of future generations. So anybody
I'll tell you what the explanation for this government also is. Outside of the external forces, they have also said that they have put that money that they have spent into the future of our children in education.
Why?
And so, if you are offering explanation for yours,
where is that? You see, when you are running an economy and you have a set of needs, you know how to prioritize and how to apportion your resources so that you will not have a system where part of it will be overbloated to an extent that the other parts cannot come along. All that they are talking about investment in education is about free SHS. That is the middle part of education. Go and look at the top part of education and the lower part of education. It's horrible. And so how can you develop education only by investing in the middle part? And even the so-called middle part, they claim to be investing in. Because of lack of infrastructure. You see how they are struggling. Do you know that people are going to be admitted in December and will be vacating in December?
Chairman,
this year, just
Chairman, that is what we'll come back and talk about, what the alternative really is, because it sounds to me like we are in between a rock and a hard place when it comes to the NPP and NDC.
No, that is your impression. We are not between the rock and the hard place at all, unless you don't have the sense of choice.
Chairman, in a recent interview with Africa Watch, your candidates, former President John Dramani Mahama, said that the NDC and him are coming back to power because the economy, and I'm quoting, the economy is broken. All rating agencies have declared our economy junk. That is a clear verdict. My question is, what is the alternative the NDC and John Dramani Mahama are offering?
We need to begin building back the economy to where it was, and then to build on it, because you cannot hand over a future to the next generation with this downward spiral of economic growth. So it is a very important task, and the next few years will not be that easy because we have come to the lowest.
What are the target areas in the economy that the NDC would be going after in order to revive it?
Well, we will bring our manifesto out very soon, and you will know what it is that we are going to do. But whatever you promise to do can only succeed on a strong economy.
Tell me.
I'm saying that.
What are you tackling within the economy?
You need to tackle agriculture strongly. You need to fix our energy problems very strongly too. And then you need to build agriculture and agro-processing. These are key areas that no government can succeed in this country without tackling. We will give you the details of what our manifesto will look like. And so, but I'm saying bottom line is that you cannot build anything on nothing. So those who go about promising free this, free that, free this, free that, the free can only happen on solid production. If there is no solid production, and you go about promising free, you can only print money, and you print money to make the economic thing worse.
So, so these promises that you're making on agriculture, on energy, and the likes, if we look back between the period 2012 to 2016, for instance, under agric, we know that the highest growth that the Mahama administration had scored was 5.7% in 2013, and so. I mean, what are you telling us, really, when it reduced to 2.9 by the time he was exiting office?
So what is the economic growth now? What is the growth figure
what
for
I'm asking
now?
is, if you have not shown us any evidence of growth during your period, what are you going to do differently now?
You see, let me say that I did not prepare for this program as if we are going to discuss economic growth figures and all that. But I'm saying that don't assume that whatever happened in the past is the same thing that is going to happen.
That's a track record we have. So you have to convince us that there won't be a repeat of that. And I'm not hearing that.
No, but even in the past, I'm saying that our performance in agriculture was stronger than what we are seeing now.
That's not true.
That is true.
That's
Where
not
are
true.
Your
That's
not true.
I'm just saying. Yes. When Mahama was exiting office, his agric figures were.
You are just talking about 1 year exiting figures.
No,
but we are comparing a period of time. The last year you knew was
his highest figure was 2013, 5.7%. While he was exiting office in 2016, it had gone down to 2.9. Right now, we know as of 2021, the current administration is doing 8.4.
So what is the 2024 figure?
We are not there yet.
You are not there. You still want to compare our last year figure with something that we have not gotten
I'm comparing your track record
please, I'm saying
to
that,
what you are capable of doing.
I'm saying that, look, I'm not prepared with economic figures now.
I understand.
So the program was not designed to come and talk about economy.
Okay.
And so that is why I'm talking in generalist terms. But I'm saying that our performance in agriculture, put it down.
Okay.
NDC's performance in agriculture has been better than the MPP's performance in agriculture.
The figures don't speak to that.
I'm saying that if we want to come and discuss those figures, we will bring those figures and let you know. When you are talking about agriculture, you know, in composing agricultural figures, the details are within, the devil is in the details. You can have forestry and many other things
let's assume
brought together
Chairman,
under
Chairman,
agriculture.
let's assume I'm
so
wrong.
when we
what
have to come
the
to discuss, when we come
NDC
to discuss, please,
when it comes to
listen, please. I don't know whether I'm invited to come and discuss detailed figures about achievement
outside of the figures.
No,
outside of the figures.
Because I was invited to come and discuss, elections and other things.
Absolutely.
And yet we are now being, drafted into discussing fine details of figures.
Chairman, hear me out.
I'm not prepared about.
Chairman, hear me
if
out.
you want us to come and discuss it, I'll come prepare the figures and we'll come and deal with the figures. And I'll prove to you that the figures don't speak to what you are talking about. They don't.
Right. Chairman,
even if I'm not able to just mention the figures year by year and all others, at least I have a global picture.
And that global picture, I was hoping you paint to us.
I'm telling you that our
hold on,
picture was better.
I'm asking you. Don't give me figures. I'm only asking that what are the true achievements, tangible achievements of the NDC under Agric? You don't have to give me figures.
I am saying that food prices were cheaper on the NDC. That is something that everybody knows. At a certain period of NDC, we even exported grains. It happened on the NDC. And so, and then it was under NDC that we started even processing our cassava into beer. We're processing local maize into beer.
Right.
All those things are there. We were at the stage, at some point in time, I was a deputy minister for agriculture. We were even planning to introduce composite flour to replace the 100%, wheat flour for our bread making in this country. We can prepare and come and deal with those things, but it can happen. I mean,
let's move on.
Invite me for something and then you come and ambush me with something else. That is why I'm saying let us don't go into those things.
Chairman, this is not an ambush, but I want us to talk about what critics believe that the return of the NDC could be the return of some people who feel that they didn't have their time to get their share of the national kitty.
That is completely wrong. Because Ghanaians, even inside MPP, they are saying that what is happening cannot pass for any good governance at all. And that is why a lot of MPP people are clamoring for the return of President John Dramani Mahama. Because you see, in any democracy, there are guardrails that prevents bad people from becoming presidents. You know, the party system, primary system, and many, many other things, which will guide and block the way for wrong people from becoming president. But there are times when wrong people, once in a while, a wrong person can sneak through. When that wrong person sneaks through, democracy-loving people in the country come together, both from within his party and outside his party, to make sure he leaves office so that the system can be reset. Where we are, it is not about NDC, MPP anymore, because many people within MPP themselves are saying that this is not good governance.
Is there a plan, as far as your party is concerned, to ensure that what we have just spoken about does not happen within your party, within your time, should you come back in 2024?
Our records are there. We always make sure we don't spend more money on running the country than the money that goes into investment. That is basic principle for running any country. If you take over any country and you put more of the resources of the country in maintaining yourselves in power than the resources that will go into investment for the future, you can only crash. And that is why we are crashing now.
Are we now discounting the several accusations that were also leveled against the NDC?
I'm not talking about several accusations. I'm talking about the quantum of our resources that are going into maintaining government.
We're speaking in view of corrupt practices.
Not just corrupt practices.
Okay, what else are we talking about?
Bloated government.
Okay.
Appointing people who are doing practically next to nothing.
The NDC didn't do that.
So if you put, that's why I'm saying you talk about the quantum. When you put the amount of money that should go into investment against the amount of money that maintains the government, and you see that the one that you need to maintain the government is far higher than the one that will go into investment to generate growth, you are in trouble. You can't pay your debts, and that is where we are.
So, Chairman, what I'm asking is there a plan to ensure that the NDC does not do that? Is there a plan to ensure that the accusations we've had against the NDC in the past?
We have never done that. And yet, people were using the media to paint a picture that that was what we were doing. During NDC time, did you hear the nation ever defaulting on its debt obligations? No.
I'll flip the question to you. During NDC's time, were there accusations of corruption?
I'm not talking about... Yes, there were accusations of corruption. Of course, in every government since independence, there have always been accusations of corruption. So
what's the plan to ensure that the people who are coming in with you in 2024, if that is the case, do not sink their teeth in the national kitty?
If they are afraid that they will be dealt with, they will be punished, and will not be treated as cronies, and though it's like your thief versus my thief. This is our thief, so protect him. That is their thief, let's punish him. You can't fight corruption. We fight corruption from within us, and then use that yardstick to fight corruption from outside. But if the fight against corruption is reduced into fighting their thief and protecting our thief, then you can't succeed. And that is what is happening currently.
I see. Let's talk about...
So that is what should change. If anybody is talking about fighting corruption, let the fight begin.
I want us to talk about the NDCs.
Protecting your proteges and then trying to look for corrupt people from your opponents. That will not...
Let's talk about the NDC's seeming interest in Dr. Bawumia as, candidate for the NPP, and seeming disinterest, rather, as the candidate for the NPP. It would seem that the NDC is afraid of Dr. Bawumia on the ticket of the NPP.
We, as a political party, have never taken any position about our preference of candidates from the NPP side, because we don't take those decisions.
How do you think your candidates, former President John Dramani Mahama, measures up against the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia?
I'm not interested in limiting President John Mahama, comparing President John Mahama with Bawumia. My position, if you care to know, our position is that whoever comes will be defeated by President Mahama.
What makes you think that, regardless of who comes up, the NDC's John Dramani Mahama is a better candidate on the ballot?
Because we will have a stronger program, for reviving this economy and provide hope for the youth of this country, because we are known to have done more generational thinking than what we are seeing now. We are seeing empty sloganeering that will attract clapping momentarily, even if the following day we will have to be crying. That is not the way to run a country. So when we come, even if we are calling on the current generation to tighten their belt, we will show them that this is the reason why you are tightening your belt. It's because of the future generation. You cannot continue to live in a situation where now the future of the current, the future of this country, we are handing over to the younger ones. It's debt, unsustainable debt that they cannot pay. We are consuming today and pushing the burden of paying for our current consumption on the future generations. It is unfair. We are destroying the environment today and looking for resources, gold, whatever, and so on, and then pushing the mess, the environmental mess, to future generations. Right. That is also not good. And many other things. So let's begin thinking about how our country will look like in future. And when we are taking decisions today, let us be mindful about what future we are bequeathing.
Despite what you have just told us, the NPP General Secretary last week on this program told us that, and I'm quoting, "I can assure you that after our presidential candidate has laid down his vision for Ghanaians, any negative thought about the NPP will be revised."
We have heard this before. His predecessor told us that by the end of their first term, we will be importing youth from other countries to come and work here because we will run short of labor. John Boadu is on record to have said it. So what is new about JFK saying something like that?
I want to know what the NDC envisions the 2024 elections to be. Do you expect it to be a tightly contested race?
I don't engage in this type of conversation because it's a double-edged sword. If you paint a picture of an easy election, that works against you because it goes to, encourage your people to go to sleep because we have won already. On the other hand, if you paint a very bad picture too, it has a way of demoralizing some people. But what I'm saying is that we have work to do. It is not over until it is over. So let everybody put in their best effort, and then we will win come January 2025.
What do you have to say to analysts who have measured, based on their predictions, that Dr. Bawumia will be on the ticket of the NPP, with John Dramani Mahama on the NDC, the 2024 elections could go into a round-off?
Let them continue with their predictions. I'm not one of them.
I see. Let's talk about the electoral process ahead of the election. The EC now, is planning to create the Guan constituency. We know that CI has been laid for that, and it has denied rumors of creating 25 additional constituencies. Is the party content with the move to properly give some name to Sal?
In fact, we always call the denial of voting rights to the people living in that area a cardinal sin. And so if somebody repents of their sin and want to do the right thing, we can only congratulate them.
Right.
It is something that should have been corrected much earlier on.
Does the party have a candidate for in mind for Guan, or you have to go through the process?
No, we have a candidate already.
You have a candidate.
We have a candidate already, and we expected that constituency to be created much earlier on, so that elections could happen there for that the winner to join the current parliament to give them a voice. I don't know what happened, and they kept delaying it up to today. So the whole process of denying them the right to participate in the 2020 election has been wrong, very unconstitutional, and very undemocratic. And so if there is any effort to correct something that has been wrong, we can only applaud them for so doing.
I see. All other things being equal, we're going to have 276. MPs. There are those who believe that based on the increase in population, we should have more constituencies. What does the party think about that?
The party has not taken its decision, besides the fact that when we complain about the size of government, we should not be condoning an increase in the size of government whilst we ourselves are complaining about the size of government. For some of us, we think that even the 276 are way too high for our type of, country.
Right.
If we take our population and compare it with the population of United Kingdom and other democracies, we realize that we are carrying too many MPs. If I had my way, I would have preferred Ghana running with the 200 MPs that we projected when we were writing the Constitution. Unfortunately, there was a loophole in the Constitution that was exploited by President Kufuor's government, which was condoned by the then judiciary. And that is where we are now. We have opened the floodgates for anybody to create any number of constituencies so long as they find themselves in government. Because if you look at the clause that allows for the creation of constituencies, it states explicitly that constituencies boundaries can be revised after population census. You understand? The revision does not necessarily imply creating more constituencies. We are talking about shift in populations within the 10 years and so on that may make one constituency excessively large as against the other constituencies that are depopulated and so on.
Right.
So that was the thinking of the Consultative Assembly as at that time we were putting it there. So nobody anticipated that we'll be having close to 300 MPs as at this stage. But then we also put in another clause that required that if a government, in order to prevent gerrymandering, if a government wants to create constituencies, those constituencies cannot be used for the elections ahead. So that if you you propose constituencies, those proposed constituencies must form part of your manifesto getting into the election. So if you are defeated, those constituencies will not be created.
I see.
But when President Kufuor came and he created some constituencies, the matter was sent to court. In fact, the national chairman of MPP, President Kufuor's party at that time, spoke against it and said that, look, this one, we cannot create these constituencies and use them in the 2004 elections. So if we create them, if we want to create them now, we propose them. So it is only after 2004 that they can be used in the election. But the matter was sent to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, instead of going into the merits of the case, they ruled based on the time of filing the propriety or whatever, the procedural issue, and then they never went into that thing. So President Kufuor was able to use those constituencies created that year and went into election with it.
Do you think the same thing could be happening?
And that opened the floodgates.
We're going to come back to the electoral process, but I also want us to look at, you tell us really, how different the mindset of the incoming, of your incoming, NDC administration would be. I mean, ending your spell before the 2016 elections, you had given us Terminal 3. You had given us great investments into Ghana Gas, which we're enjoying today. Electricity situation had improved by the time you were headed out. What is the mindset coming back to the Ghanaian people?
So you knew the answers to the questions you were asking before you asked them previously. You are now telling us what the real achievements are.
There are always two sides to the coin. You'd agree. Two sides to the coin.
Those are generational investments, and that is what I've been talking about. Those are things that the hospitals we are building, the airports and all the things you talk about, the power we are providing, the infrastructure, road infrastructure and the other pieces of infrastructure, those are the things that lays the foundation for any economy to take off and provide a better future for your next generation. So when we come, certainly we continue along those lines, because you cannot develop a country without a solid infrastructure base. Infrastructure itself is not a sufficient condition for development, but it is a necessary condition. When we're building the infrastructure, people misconstrued as to mean that everything in the country is about infrastructure. We never said that. We said that even though infrastructure is not a sufficient condition for development, it is a necessary condition. You cannot develop without infrastructure. So let's fix it. If we have limited resources, let's fix the infrastructure. We will get to a point where, with the minimum infrastructure laid, the other things like attracting investment to generate growth and all that will naturally follow.
How do you think this administration compares to your record of infrastructure?
Go and ask the citizens, not me. You have been covering the poor road network and all that throughout the country. You've been covering the creation of Ministry of Railways, which is focusing on dismantling old rail lines and selling as scrap. You have been covering it in your network. And so we have decided to lay back a little and let the citizens do the talking. Let them testify about what is happening in their areas. And that is why what is happening is happening. If we had proceeded on taking the lead in talking about infrastructure here, lack of roads here, lack of these things here, people would just, push the thing into NDC, MPP. But now, it is the people who are in the communities who are talking and complaining about lack of infrastructure here and lack of infrastructure there. And so, the verdict is already out. And one thing we are going to assure Ghanaians is that these incidents or the practice of abandoning projects midway because they are projects of your predecessors, that practice has been very, very harmful to our economy. And it, in fact, has contributed to the debt overhang, which we are unable to pay. Go to see the cocoa roads that were abandoned at a certain point in time just because somebody decided that there could be something wrong with the contracts for the construction of cocoa roads. So all contractors laid off. Roads that had come to, that has been cleared, some have come to fixing of sub-base and base, some were ready for tarring, some had first surface dressing and all that. All of them over the country have been left to the mercy of the weather, and they've all been washed away. Now you are struggling to get money to go and repay the loan that we took to fix the cocoa roads. Is that sensible governance? That is where we are.
Right. So let's come back to issues around the electoral process. Is the NDC back into IPAC?
Come again.
Is the NDC back in IPAC?
As at now.
As at now, yes.
No.
Why is it taking you so long? What's the holdup?
Oh, the holdup is coming from the Electoral Commission.
But they have asked you to rejoin, haven't they?
No, they haven't. There is an ongoing process to get us back into IPAC, which was spearheaded by the National Peace Council and some civil society organizations, with the National Peace Council playing the lead role. So we had about 2 or 3 initial meetings. One was National Peace Council versus NDC alone, and then National Peace Council versus MPP. And then the third one was National Peace Council together with NDC and MPP. They were all very successful. So the next stage was for the Peace Council to now go and engage the Electoral Commission. Then after that, the last meeting would have been all the parties together with Peace Council and Electoral Commission to iron out those differences. So after our meeting, NDC, MPP, and Peace Council, which was very successful, because everybody knows that these two parties are the key stakeholders of our electoral process. Electoral Commission is a referee. So if the two teams agree that this is what we think our elections should look like, that will satisfy us, why should the referee take another position that is different from what the key stakeholder or the teams are talking about? So we thought that after we had agreed as political parties, the Peace Council, after engaging Electoral Commission, now come for the final meeting to take place. It took the Peace Council more than 1 year to get appointment to talk to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. And so the talks stalled.
I see. So now that the talks have stalled, and
so where we are now, if the Peace Council, which has that mandate, finds a way to reactivate the talks, the peace process will be on course, and very soon we will return.
Are there other signs that the Peace Council may revive talks?
Oh, yes, because lately I've heard people, because first the intention was to put the blame on NDC. And now the cat is out of the bag. They know that it is not NDC that was being recalcitrant, but it is rather a peace process that got stalled because, according to the Peace Council, they have not had the opportunity to meet with the chairperson of Electoral Commission. Each time they try, there will be an excuse that she's traveling, she's out of the country. For 1 year, if this exercise is such an important exercise, for a whole year, can't you get opportunity to meet the National Peace Council, another state institution that has an important role of making sure there is peace in this country?
Chairman, if the status quo remains,
they come and continue the process, fine.
If the status quo remains, do you expect it to have any impact on you now, during the elections, and even after it?
If the status quo remains, we will take it into account in our planning for the elections. And this is one of the challenges. So our preparation for the elections will take that one also into account.
Speaking of taking into account, one of the major issues that your critics have brought against the party in the last 2 elections was the party's inability to collect your results independently. Is the NDC now in the position to do that? What is the strategy for 2024 in collating the results?
Nobody goes to war by proclaiming the number of weapons he or she has. So it is something that I'm not going to talk about.
Would you have real-time results in 2024?
I'm saying that let's wait for 2024. It is an internal process. And so if our party people are satisfied that our preparation for the elections is adequate, let it be adequate and let it remain within the party.
The NDC, particularly your candidate, former President John Dramani Mahama, has vowed to resist any attempt to rig next year's elections. What's the strategy to ensure that the election is not rigged? How will you ensure that?
Again, I'm not going to tell you that we are coming to fight you. Tomorrow we will come with a bow or arrow or a shotgun.
Is there a plan, or you don't have one yet? Is there a plan, or you don't have one yet?
I'm saying that, look, it is not good planning to be talking about your preparedness to fight an enemy. You use your left hand or right hand to shoot the bow or the arrow and so on. It is something that I don't talk about.
Let's move away from that and talk about recent comments from the NPP regarding how the Ghanaian people would view them going into the 2024 elections. They say, look, we've got a whole year ahead of us and things are going to improve within that year. Ghanaians would have forgotten the NDC by then.
So they are accepting that things are no good now. You are talking now, you are hoping to improve. So the assumption is that you now agree that things are no good.
Absolutely.
They accept that things are no good.
And they think that by the time it's December 2024, things would have improved and Ghanaians would have forgotten the NDC.
We wish them well.
Well, so if things have improved, then what else would the NDC be holding the NPP to?
Are you saying that in countries where there is double-digit economic growth, there is no change of government in any election?
Again, I'm asking that question because
you see, the economy is just part of the, what do you call it? Part of the problems you deal with in a campaign. It's not the only thing that features in a campaign.
So what else would you be holding the NPP to account?
It's bad governance. The verdict is out that NPP has demonstrated, in the past 8 years, has demonstrated the worst form of governance this country has ever witnessed in this Fourth Republic. And so, bad governance is a major issue that is going to feature in the next election. You understand? Whether your economy improves or does not improve. Nobody can live in a country where there is such a discrimination that even when the discrimination has permeated every facet of life, that if you are this, this is the law that applies to you. If you are this, no law applies to you, even if you do the wrong thing. Go and look at the distribution of practically every state resource in this country. Today, all opportunities, practically all opportunities in the country are located based on whom you know, where you come from, and which party you belong to. Is that the democracy you want to live under? Today, you have a system where majority of Ghanaians cannot trust in the criminal justice system. And it has been demonstrated all over in research upon research.
I see.
And today, regions and groups of populations don't feel belonged to the system. And so even in the recruitment into the security services, look at what is happening. Do you think that that is a sustainable way of maintaining our democracy, where recruitment into the security services is based on whom you know and your links in government? You are going to have a security system that is polarized and cannot unite to fight any enemy. You see, so there are issues of governance. There are issues about corruption, nepotism, and many, many other, lack of respect. I mean, leadership not taking responsibility.
Right.
So, and trying to shift responsibility to everybody apart from themselves.
Chairman, my guess is the NDC may have learned some lessons since 2016. Again, because a lot of these things you're saying were also things that we had and reported on under the NDC.
You preach them.
What are some of the...
You preach them when they didn't exist. And because you were hearing it.
Is that the case?
Yes, you preach about them when they didn't exist. When they started calling President Mahamad's government family and friends government, he had only one member of his family in that government. Only one member of his family in that government. And you were preaching it all over the place. Family and friends.
What are the lessons that you have learned?
The lessons is that I believe that we need, and I believe that the media has also learned lessons.
No, what are the lessons that the NDC has learned?
The lessons we have learned is that when you manufacture a rat trap, you must beat the path. You must yourself advertise.
What does that mean, Chairman?
What it means is that we felt, from the revolutionary background, we felt that if you do things to people, you don't go making noise about it. The people there will feel it. And so they will vindicate you when it comes to voting. Then MPP came on board and they used media to create wrong impressions, even where development is taking place. They find a way of creating the impression that development will not bring money into your pocket.
Isn't the NPP already saying the same thing against the NDC and the Ghanaian media? Exactly what you're saying.
No.
What I was hoping to hear are the lessons that the NDC has learned in governance.
That's why I'm saying that we have learned lessons.
But you're blaming the media at the end of it.
I'm saying that we came from a background of not preaching what we have achieved sufficiently.
Okay.
When our opponents were rather painting us black and we said, oh, people know what we have achieved. So we are now learning our lessons that when we come, we must increase our...
Which brings me to the question, what kind of a president is the NDC bringing us going into 2024?
The president who is always truthful to his people.
I see.
Who takes responsibility and makes sure that when there is a problem, he will not dodge the problem and be blaming other people. He will face it, take the necessary decisions, and if those decisions are bringing hardship, he talks to his people that, look, this hardship yet is temporary. It is intended to help us contribute towards a better future. And so that is the president we are bringing. And we are bringing a president with foresight, who knows that when I need to do free secondary education, I need to provide the infrastructure. I'm looking at the resources that are available in the country. And so this is the way we should approach it so that we don't go and hit the wall and now begin to come back. But let me come back and explain to you why I'm saying that you are responsible. When President Mahama spoke to the media in South Africa about the way he's being criticized, is he not worried, does he have a sound sleep? And he said that, oh, now as for criticism, he has developed the shock absorbers to absorb criticism. So it's like a dead goat who doesn't fear a cutlass. Then you take it to mean that if you criticize him,
Chairman,
he will never listen to you. That was what you media people projected. And then,
Chairman, the former president is only now explaining himself.
No, we explained it at that time. We explained. This interview was conducted when he was in South Africa. It wasn't even in Ghana. Then, on the case of the other one you are talking about, the dead goat syndrome, and the other one where he said that, look, if you have not, those who have sat on the saddle know where it pinches. So Bawumia should be careful because he had not sat on this seat before. It was taken out of context and projected as if because he's a president, then nobody who has been a president can criticize him.
Are there any changes?
That was completely wrong.
Are there any changes that you hope that the former president himself, on that personal level as the #1 person in this country, should that be the case in 2024?
I'm saying that those things you are accusing him of, it was your problem. You took what he said out of context and believed that it meant that he was a president who does not accept.
It seems you are now taking me out of context. What I'm asking is, Are there some personal lessons that you feel that John Dramani Mahama should have learned going into 2024, and what would those be?
Well, I believe that he has known human beings better. So in his next government...
Human beings, like who would
Ghanaians,
fall within that?
generally Ghanaians.
I see.
You know, when you are in power, it's a different thing, the set of friends you have. When you are outside power, you see the set of friends, whether they are lawyer or not lawyer.
So when he was in office, he didn't know us too well.
These are things, nobody knows human beings perfectly until they die, the day they drop dead. Every day we learn something new about human beings. Every day we learn something new about friends and opponents and so on.
Chairman,
so
how would you describe cohesion in your party at the moment?
Oh, it's as cohesive as any political party could be, which is poised on winning power.
I see. This is despite the ouster of your parliamentary leaders, which the party has failed to really speak about.
What is it about? This is not the first time we are changing parliamentary leaders. So if
no, I didn't say change. I said ouster. Because that was the impression that the people who had been removed created, and they chose not to talk about the matter. How did the party deal with it to ensure that,
and I'm saying that
the cohesiveness?
As far as I'm concerned, that is nothing new. And we will continue changing leadership. If we are in government, we will continue changing ministers. Reshuffle is a natural part of governance. They mind the same way as a coach handling a team in a match. The reason the coach will be on the touchline watching the match is that there may be bad days for particular players, they may be good, but certain occasions they may...
So what I'm saying is that the removal of Haruna Idrisu as leader of your side in parliament did not go down well with not only himself, but his tenor of leaders, co-leaders as well. Is the party sweeping that under the carpet going into the elections?
Have you ever called anybody who has been reshuffled in government before to find
out whether
they like it or not? I'm saying that, listen, governance is not about satisfying friends. Governance is about watching and making the right changes at the right time. So if we are working in the interest of a collective, you shouldn't be worried about, personal complaints here and there.
Have names come up?
I'm saying
for
that.
The vice presidential candidate?
Have you seen our party constitution?
Absolutely. And, John Dramani Mahama is supposed to make the choice in conjunction with the Council of Elders. What I'm asking you now,
do you have
some names come up yet?
And so, is it in the constitution that I am the one they will bring names to, so the names will come up to me and I'll make a choice?
No,
you say John Dramani Mahama.
No, I haven't said you are making the choice.
And so where are you talking about names coming up?
Chairman, hear me out. Chairman, hear me out.
Yes.
I haven't said that you are going to make the choice.
Yes.
What I'm asking is, what are the discussions around a vice presidential candidate for
There is
the
no discussion
NDC?
as far as I'm aware.
Thank you for coming.
You are welcome.
Chairman Johnson Esiedun Ketia. He's the General Johnson Esiedun Ketia. He is the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, the biggest opposition party in Ghana. They are hoping to come back into office in 2024. The election race have begun hereforth. I am Keminni Amanor. Bye-bye.